Good morning to hour 2 of Where You Live with Gene and Tony. If you're just joining us in this second hour, we're going to be talking about the rise of a homeowner advocacy group that's called Cyber Citizens for Justice. You know, if anybody has lived in a homeowners association for any length of time, I think folks feel frustrated, don't you, Tony?
Yeah, I don't think all owners and homeowners associations are frustrated. I think it's been our experience that we hear from the same 5% of homeowners every month, because it's 5% that don't like it, that are disgruntled, that have issue with what's going on in the association. But the vast majority of homeowners, we never hear from. They never have an issue.
But I would say that anytime you're living with a group and you're dealing with a democracy where the majority is going to rule, from time to time, people are going to find themselves in the minority on an issue.
That's true. I think that's true.
And all of us, it's human nature. If we don't like what's going on, we get frustrated. However, I think there's probably been a rise in homeowner advocacy groups, probably because people are feeling that they're getting to a point of feeling powerless.
Well,
and being able to do anything.
I think it's an indication of education as well, or overcoming ignorance about homeowners associations. And in that regard, it's very good that people are taking an interest in protecting their rights in a homeowners association, because they're becoming aware of what their rights are. You know that a lot of homeowners don't really understand what they're buying into when they buy a home in a homeowners association. And we spend a good deal of our time trying to educate homeowners on what the deal is. So anything like this, any homeowners advocacy group, news articles, anything that's out there helps raise the awareness of all people involved in all sides of this issue.
And the more voices, I think, the better the discussion.
That's right.
And so with that in mind, I'm happy to welcome on to our show this morning on Where You Live, Mr. Jan Bergman. Good morning, Jan.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking time to be part of the show today. And you live in Florida, and you've been the president of a group called Cyber Citizens for Justice. How long has that organization been around, Jan?
Since 10 years.
Okay.
About 10 years, and you've been the president the entire time?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to just ask you, tell us a little bit more. Why did you form Cyber Citizens for Justice?
Well, that's very obvious, because the only ones lobbying for the association are the industry service providers, and there is no voice at all for the owners. And I mean, I heard your introduction, and I strongly oppose what you have been saying, because it is very obvious that the system called community associations here in America totally failed the owners.
Oh, they failed the owners?
Yes.
And you say totally. How so?
Yes. Very clearly, because where in the world can it be that owners who pay their mortgage, who pay their association dues, who pay everything they're required to pay, nevertheless lose their homes because their neighbors don't pay their dues?
Oh, okay. So you're saying, as an association homeowner, I pay my dues, I pay my mortgage, but because my neighbor didn't pay their dues, I get foreclosed upon? Do I understand you right?
No. Your whole building gets foreclosed upon, it gets rat-tagged, and you get thrown out.
Well, what we're talking about in a homeowners association, yes, you are going to be we talked about earlier, kind of attached at the hip with other folks, and it's kind of dependent upon everybody carrying their own weight and paying their portion of the assessment that allows things to operate correctly. Isn't that true?
That is not true, because of the many foreclosures, of the banks being exempt from paying past dues, and we have here homeowners associations and condo associations where only between 30 and 40% of the people still pay. And they can't pay the whole bills, as you can imagine.
I see. So they can't pay the utility bills because so many owners have defaulted on their assessments. I guess you're describing a situation, Mr. Bergman, that I've never experienced. And I think you're talking about a condo association where it's like individual apartments, that type of situation?
You have here, for example, in Florida, and I know it's the case as well in Arizona and Texas and in California, especially where the big retirement communities are.
Uh-huh.
Don't forget, you don't deal with these things up there. These associations are in total disarray. If you read here the newspapers, you will find that associations declare bankruptcy because they just can't pay their bills anymore. Don't forget, in homeowners associations, especially in the ones that were created in the last, let's say, 5 to 8 years, the bull contracts are eating more or less the payments. And if nobody pays, there's nothing there.
Well, I think we're in agreement that if people don't pay, the association as a whole is going to be in a world of hurt, and services are going to be cut off. But I don't know that is because of the association. I think that might be indicative of the environment someone's in because of the job market, because of personal experiences. And that has a lot to do with this, but I don't know that the association telling someone you have not been making those payments, now we're going to have to start invoking the authority that we have to foreclose and get someone in there who's going to pay. That I don't know that that's the cause of this.
What are you going to pay?
Pardon?
There is nobody who is going to pay. Don't forget, here in Florida, in the moment, we have about 370,000 empty homes and condos. Empty meaning nobody lives there, nobody wants to buy there. Here in Florida, you can't give your house away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's happening a lot of places around the country where that's been the case. I mean, we're managing associations here in Minnesota where things were overbuilt. The developer sold one property that we're managing east of St. Paul. They had, out of 90 units, 45 homeowners purchased, and then things dried up. And so, that association is hurting, but I don't know that that's that there's any cause from the association or the association board.
No, the association, even if well-willing, is not able to pay the bill.
Sure.
And then here comes the water company and cuts the water off.
I see.
The next thing is, here comes the health department and puts the red tag at the gate.
Because there's no water.
You have 24 hours to leave your homes because your bill isn't paid.
Okay. So you started out by saying this was a failure of homeowner associations as an organization, as a developmental organization.
As a system, because you see, this is a system which is more or less only known in the United States.
Okay.
See, I'm from Europe.
Uh-huh.
Europe, you have the same kind of buildings. You know, you have what you would call condos. You would have homes.
Uh-huh.
There is no association system allowed. It's illegal. And despite the fact that Europe has as much economic problems as the United States, there is no problem with the housing market, because if my neighbor doesn't pay, his mortgage gets foreclosed on, or my neighbor doesn't pay his whatever dues there would be to be paid, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because it doesn't affect me.
Because you're still going to get services because you're paying.
Yes.
So that to me sounds like and there are lots of homeowners associations here that have the same issue. They are individually metered for water. They're individually paying for their heat. So they aren't affected when their neighbor doesn't pay their assessments not in the same way.
But here in Florida, the newer communities all are. They're not single meters.
They're sharing utilities. All right. Okay. So you think it's a failure of the system of homeowner associations, and so what do you advocate, Jan? Do you advocate getting rid of these systems?
No, I'm advocating of stopping the liability of owners for their neighbors. Meaning, see, for example, the big issue is these bulk contracts, like, for example, water.
Uh-huh.
Then there is no governmental oversight. You know, the board, the manager, the attorney can do whatever they want, and there's nobody to stop them. You can take them to court, but, you know, with our economy, who has $100,000 to spare in change in his pocket?
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Jan, we've got to take a break right now. When we come back, I want to explore this issue with you a little more about what you think needs to be done and how to separate liability that one homeowner has from another, because I don't know if that is possible in association living. Folks, what do you think? We want to hear from you today, too. 651-289-4488. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be back after these messages.